Hi, I'm Andrew, and welcome to Fantasy Aid. Today we'll be going over 10 fantasy baseball busts for 2016. First on my list is Shelby Miller, who got traded for an insane package. He went to the Diamondbacks after having a pretty decent season. Ignore the win-loss record, they're the Braves. But he's moving to a pretty bad ballpark compared to Turner Field. He's going to get more wins, obviously. It would be hard to do worse, especially with the Diamondbacks lineup. He's struggled with control issues in the past, and that didn't really go away in 2015. He was still walking more people than I like. The strikeout rate was up, which was nice. He ended the season with a 7.11 ERA in the month of September, and only had a 3.83 ERA after the All-Star break. I don't think he can replicate most of these numbers from 2015. Number 2 on my list might come as a surprise to some people. Francicso Lindor, he had such a good season last year. And it's not that I think he'll have a bad season. It's just I don't think he can replicate these numbers that some people are expecting. I don't like where he's being drafted. I mean, I covered it in my shortstop video. I think he can hit 280. I think he can hit 10, 15 home runs, possibly. Stolen bases around 20, something like that. He'll be a top 7 to 8 shortstop. But he's not worth where he's being drafted. He's not going to replicate his 2015 season. Number 3 is the Cubs pitcher John Lackey. Now, he had basically a career year last year, 2.77 ERA with 175 strikeouts. He was the most consistent pitcher on that Cardinals staff. But if you look closely at the numbers, he had a 1.89 ERA at Busch Stadium and a pedestrian 3.82 on the road. He's going to get more wins with that Cubs lineup, but I think every other number is going to trend downward. The ERA, I don't think that's sustainable. I would estimate between 3.5 and 4.25, somewhere in that range, I'm thinking. Strikeouts, I think, might lower a little bit. He's always had good control. He always hits the strike zone. I just think he'll go back to more what his career line is. Middle-of-the-road pitcher who's a good back-end option. Number 4 on my list is Todd Frazier, who got traded to the White Sox. Now, that's obviously going to hurt him, leaving the hitter-friendly Great American Ballpark. But if you look at other numbers, he hit 233 on the road with a 285 OBP last year. He was really good in the first half, but in the second half, he only hit 10 home runs. And his post-All-Star average was 220 with a slugging percentage of 390. With moving to a new ballpark, the White Sox lineup isn't that great. And his struggles in the second half, it just makes me question whether he can replicate 35 home runs. I think he'll hit more than 20, but I really question if he can get to 30. Stolen bases were down in 15. Not that he stole 20 in 14. But I don't think he's that elite third baseman, and I don't see him replicating this. Number 5 on my list is Michael Wacha. Clear struggles in the second half last year. He just looked like he was tiring out. He had nothing in that arm. Post All-Star break, 4.01 ERA, giving up 12 home runs. The strikeouts have been trending in the wrong direction. 153 and 181.1 innings last year. WHIP is higher than I want it. He shined in 2013, but he's never been able to have good second half numbers in his career. He's a great first half pitcher, so if you draft him, I might keep him around for the first half, but see if you can unload him before his second half struggles hit. He also is an injury concern, which is another reason why he's here. I don't think he can take that next step to be the ace that people thought he could be after that 2013 playoffs. Number 6 is Yasiel Puig, who was injured for a lot of last season. He only played in 79 games. Home runs, 11, which was what we thought he could do after that 2013 breakout when he was called up. It's just disappointing. Career stolen base rate of 58%. It's pretty bad. I mean, I wouldn't recommend the Dodgers run him as much as they have been. He's not replicating the power. The average is down. I'm not saying he can't turn it around. I just don't see the signs that point to him turning around. Number 7 on my list should be an obvious one. Marco Estrada, who had a 3.13 ERA with 13 wins last year for the Blue Jays, which was absolutely surprising. But between the ballpark he's in, Rogers Center, and a 4.4 FIB last year, he's not going to replicate it at all. His walks per 9 innings have been up since 2012, and his strikeout rate has fallen since 2012. I even question if in mixed leagues 12 and under, if he should even be owned. I think he's going to be in a rude awakening in 16. And the strikeout rate, I mean, it's not great. The walks are going up. I would just completely avoid him on draft day. Number 8 on my list was Brian Dozier, who had a scorching first half and then hit the ground hard in the second half. You can see post All-Star break, 210 average, 19 home runs, 3 steals, and a strikeout rate of 25%, which his strikeout rate's always been high. But his plate discipline's fallen. And just how many players there are at second base that you can get in the back of the draft. They're so similar to each other. The parity of it just makes him reaching for him early in the draft not a wise decision. Number 9 on my list is Hanley Ramirez, who's being moved to first base by the Red Sox, but I think he'll be DH in 17 and maybe some parts of this year, depending on how Ortiz does. Home runs were the only thing he improved on last year, but he's entering his age 32 season. They've got Travis Shaw, who had a decent season last year, and if Ramirez struggles, he might find himself sharing time with Travis at first base. He was injury plagued in the second half. He had a 183 average with no home runs and 109 at bats. He hasn't, since the Dodgers, that injury plagued season with the Dodgers where he's like 341, and people thought, oh, Hanley's back. He hasn't replicated that at all in his time with the Red Sox, and I don't see that. I see that trend continuing in 2016. Number 10 on my list is Brett Gardner, who hasn't, in the past couple years, has always fallen off in the second half. He had 206. One thing that really stood out to me was, first, he only hit 26 doubles. He only hit 26 doubles, and for his speed, you'd think he would have hit more. He hit 22 of them in the first half. He had 4 doubles and over 200 at-bats in the second half. He only stole 5 bases. I mean, it was abysmal second half. He had a drop-off in 2014 also, but his doubles actually increased from 11 to 14 pre- and post-All-Star break in 2014, where this was much more dramatic, and it really makes me question how he can do this season with the home runs. The runs were still there. He got 20 stolen bases, but the stolen bases are trending downward. His slugging percentage for outfielders, pretty bad. At fourth outfielder type, he's okay, but in mixed team, like 12 team or something, I don't think he's a guy I'd want to start. And that's 10 busts for 2016. If you have any questions, you can send them to fantasyabe1@gmail.com or comment them below. Subscribe, as more rankings will be coming out as the season approaches. Next time, it'll be third basemans. Thanks for watching.